All right, hey everyone, let's get back to it. So the Wednesday live streams, doing a lot of live streams lately. Kind of doing a series on upgrading your Laravel applications, and then still embarking on this crusade here of making improving the Mockery error messages. So in last Wednesday's live stream, we found that there was just one place where kind of this whole exception message that's being output is displayed or created. So it's right here, it's thrown right here. So this is the place we kind of outlined, we found and outlined kind of where this could all happen. So, hey Samuel, how's it going? Yeah, so anyway, we have all the pieces we need. Now it's a matter of kind of making it do what we want. So let's kind of review for myself and for any potential new watchers. Let's kind of review what the goal is. Right now, Mockery has a pretty dense error message. No matching handler found for this internal Mockery name. And then it's like either the method was this, or it was this, or these things like you have to do, right? It's not, A, it's not human readable, and B, it's not very suggestive of what the problem is. And I think, and what we found last time by kind of var dumping, just some simple debugging, we found that this object, this mock that we have access to here, it has a lot of information in it. It tells you what's been mocked, what other things have been mocked, and I think it's possible to kind of iteratively go through that mock and see, was it doing, what could be more suggestive? Did it have a match for that method, but the arguments didn't match? What about it didn't match? And so again, we could maybe be more suggestive on kind of what to do next, what to go look at, why it failed, right? So I think the human readable part's pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of changing this. And in the process, of course, if we were able to provide more information, we make it more human readable. So today in this stream, what I want to do is kind of explore this object a little bit more and see, what's the level of effort? Is it possible to kind of bring one of these pseudocode things to life, right? So this message, we kind of left this last time, and that's where we stopped. We said, hey, we could wrap all this code up in this like set exception message, and then we would just, put message here, right? So pretty straightforward. We would still throw the no matching exception, but its actual error message that gets output, zoomed in, that gets output here would change. So let's go to this, or maybe a better word is like determine exception message. I don't know. We'll see. We can play around with the wording. That's pretty simple. Now I'm mucking around in the vendor folder. So because of that, I'm not getting the nice auto completion from PHP Storm, but we can just make it ourselves. Determine exception message. And this will return. I don't know if they type hint or not in here. Doesn't look like they type hint. So we'll honor their format. And right now I'm just going to paste this and we'll return that. Now it looks like it needs args. So let's pass in args. Where did args come from? Args comes from here. Okay, fine. So we're going to also pass in args. And go back down here and we'll say array args. Okay, so if I run this again, we should get back to our exception message, our kind of nasty one. Okay, so here we go. No matching handler found for blah, 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 command blah, 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 blah with all the args. Either method was unexpected or its argument matched. No expected argument list for this method. So again, the information's here. It's just a bit dense. It has this output. I think there's opportunity to clean this up. Now, I'm not going to go through all the nuance of making this human readable. I don't think that makes for a very good stream. I think what does make for a good stream is starting to analyze what's in this mock and how we would sniff out some of these other messages. So now that we have this method, let's take this and start. Let's see if we can get one of these paths to return a different message, right? So potential improved messages. Mock is called without an expectation. Okay, so what happens currently when that takes place? So let's find out. Let's see if we can knock one of these out. So let me find this in our test, and we'll do something where, you know, it calls something else. Why is search taking 6 years? Okay, whatever. We will find it ourselves. It's in this class property test. Here we go. Let's borrow that. I don't understand why this. There we go. PHP Storm is lagging. Okay, so again, we have all this crazy mock stuff going on. Let's do something with shift here and see if it kind of explodes, right? So let's get in subject perform. Here's this command. Let's do something like, say, shift unknown method or unexpected method. Unexpected method, right? Or we could even just comment out this call, I think, and we would get something else. So one of these should fail. Let's see if it does. Okay, here we go. Method blah, 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 unexpected method does not exist on this mock object. Again, not bad, but again, an opportunity for more readable. Now, looking at this, this is a bad method call exception. So this is actually thrown somewhere else. So let's go see where that's thrown. So this one, mock is called without an expectation. This one is actually thrown somewhere else. So let's go find where. I probably won't fix that, but I'm kind of curious. Whoops, I'm kind of curious where that happens. Does not exist on this mock object. Let's get in Mockery only. So here's Mockery. Let's find that. Okay, mock does not exist. Okay, so in the mock itself, static method. Okay, so it's a difference between a static method or the method itself. So very straightforward. The logic's already there. It's just a matter of cleaning up that error message too. So that's not one I think we have to go down right now, or at least I can mark this as in that other class, right? So let's borrow this other class, and we'll say in that. All right. Okay, cool. Mock is not called for an expected method. Okay, so let's go back and let's remove this. So we know that that's somewhere else. Now I've commented out command, so we have a mock now, right? We've said that in our test. There's a lot of different paths here, but we say it expects command. It's not actually going to call this command now. So let's see how this works, right? We have a couple bits here where we expect command, but we're not actually going to end up calling it, right? So let's see what that throws. Okay, no matching handler found for log. Oh, no matching handler found for log. Oh, this is dense. No matching handler found for Mockery log facade event. No matching handler found for rector command. Why is that doubling up like that? That's funny. Let's see here. Get streamline class. Oh, this is like. Oh, it catches a different. That's interesting. Wow. That's interesting. Let's shorten up this thing. We just want all paths and our simple little code beautifier. So let's narrow in our test here. We have all paths and our little code beautifier. I think the rest of this can kind of temporarily get thrown out. Let's just shorten this up so it's a little cleaner. Okay, cool. Method command blah 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 for Mockery 0 should be called, right? This is invalid count exception. So it looks like this again is in another place. So let's see if we can find it. Exact, at least, at most. Okay, so other places for error methods. So count validator, it looks like, in these count validators. Okay, so let's reference that. So this is in count validators. All right, so that's fine. Okay, so now truly not called. Okay, so truly not called is going to be in count validators. So now let's keep moving down. Again, we're just trying to see which ones we can satisfy here, right? So we have, did the arguments not match? Okay. So now we have an arguments not match, and I think that's the error message we were already messing with. So let's uncomment this, and now we know that these should no longer match because in our test, let's see why they don't match. Okay, so no matching handle. Okay, so let's change this in our implementation just to be a little more, you know, obvious. We'll say something like whatever.php. Okay, so no matching handler found for whatever all paths, right? It was not expected, or it was unexpected, or its argument matched. No expected argument list for this method. Either the method was unexpected. See, that's interesting. We just went down where it called a method that was unexpected. Either the method was unexpected. See, that's not true. You could already get rid of either the method was unexpected, right? Because if the method was unexpected, meaning it's not on the mock, that's an error message we just found. It was out in mock, or it was out in the count times. It wasn't in here. So right away we know if you're here throwing this particular exception, there is no either the method was unexpected, or at least as far as I can tell. It's really just a matter of its arguments did not match. So we can already make it more human readable right away if we know that the exception that we're throwing is down here. Because truly not called or mock called without an expectation are elsewhere in the code. So I really think this line could get chopped out from this particular place in the code. Again, we'll see. Okay, so did the arguments not match? Okay, yeah, we're here, right? So that's here in this class. Did we have similar calls? That's what I want to do. So that's kind of the next one, right? So did the arguments not match? Okay, we know that because we're here in the code. So the substack now, this is really where what we want to focus on today. This is the one we're going to focus on, right? Is these two items. Okay, so did it have similar calls? Let's check it out. I want to var dump this mock. This is probably pretty big, so let's do a more. Okay, so inside here we have this Mockery 0 shift, we have Mockery expectations, we have all paths. Okay, so everything on this mock, all the other methods are kind of listed here. So we probably don't need to go that deep. We probably only need to go that this particular mock command was built. So let's see how we can go a little bit deeper. What are they using up here? This expectations. I think this expectations is more of what we want to mess with. Mock object the director is attached to stores an array of all expectations for this mock. That's actually what we want. Let's do mock expectations. All right, let's run this again. Okay, so inside of mock expectations, we have actual count, because, closure, count validator, mockery exact, okay, fine. Expected arguments, here we go. There we go. Expected count 1. So there's a lot of detail in here we can mess with, right? And this is, okay, so then we go back to referencing the mock itself, so we get a little recursive here. Let's go back up. This is pretty dense. I want to wow, there's a lot. This goes on forever. I wonder if we could just, all right, let's quit out of that. That's getting unproductive. Okay, so mock expectations. Let's mockery expectation 0. Okay. So if the expectations is not empty, then we know that you've listed other expectations, but we're just in a place where the arguments don't match. So what would be nice is to say something like, you expected this, but it found a call, to this, right? That's what I would like to see this say. And it's a little bit confusing on which one it does. So let's go back to where we are, or just to the error message. So it says no matching handler found for this. What I would like it to say is Mockery expected this call, command with these args, but was not received, right? It found a similar call that was made to PHP CBF whatever, right? That's what I would like it to say. So let's see if we can get it to do that. That's the dense part. We're getting there. This is very dense code. It requires an understanding of not just how the mocks work, right, or these expectations work, but we're also learning Mockery at the same time, and then we're trying to get it to do something relatively complex. I mean, Mockery's been around for over a decade, and no one has tackled this. So this is not lightweight stuff here. This is a pretty big change. So again, I think it's clearly possible. It's just a matter of kind of figuring it out, right? So we're just muddling along here is the point. So what I want to do now is let's just say if count on these expectations is equal to 1, if it has one call to it, we're going to worry about the multiple here in a second, right? We're really focusing on this one right now. So this is the one, we're wanting to focus on. So if count expectations is 1, meaning that command was called one other time, right? We know that we received the wrong arguments. Now it's a matter of saying, hey, we want to say this other stuff. So let's finish this out. We have this Mockery, all this other stuff. Let's queue out of there. Oh, we're still mooring it. Okay, so we're here now. So what I expect is if we were to var dump, let's just borrow this again. If we var dump expectations 0, right? Let's see what we have here. So we got to go back to more. Okay, good. We're var dumping. Okay, we have this Mockery expectation object, and it's got a lot of private and protected stuff. What we really want out of here is probably the expected args, right? So expected args, array 0. Now, we're making some assumptions here because there's a lot of different ways you can mock stuff out. So again, there's going to be some work to do for me off stream to kind of make sure that this works for multiple arguments, it outputs correctly and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure Mockery has helpers for that, but it's just a matter of kind of figuring that out. So I think for now, what we would want to do is say that it's expected args, right? Is set as well. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about getting down into the mock. What we need to do is go look at this expectation object. So let's just var this off to make life a little easier. We'll say expectation, or sorry, not exception. Expectation is that, and let's var this off to be an expectation on Mockery, right? That's what it was. Yeah, Mockery expectation. Okay, so we get some type ending now. So the goal now is to kind of see what this object has on it. So let's go see what's going on here. Okay, we have actual count because closure, count validators, blah, 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 expected args, expected count. Okay, so we want to mess around with expected args. Where is this? How do we have access to this, right? Okay, we have a format here. Looks like there's a format. So there we go. ToString. is there some kind of like has args. I think if you command 9, not that, command 7, there we go. Let's look through here. We want, how do I list only public? Don't show private, don't show protected, only public. I'm looking for like a has args or something. Match args, times, with any args, no args. Oh, okay, so with, okay, sorry. It's got a toString. So this is actually the expectation itself. They're setting expected args. Interesting. So this is actually the API where you kind of set up the expectation. I'm trying to see how can we determine if, let's just go back to what we were doing here. Let's just go back to seeing where this protected bit is used. I'm really just trying to figure out arguments expected by this expectation. Where is this set? Okay, there's an output, there's a match. Expected args count, where is this? Okay, it's just counted. Match args, all right, not helpful. Where else? Return this expected args, erase search, new any args, new, okay, so, okay, with any args, yeah, that's not it. This arguments, where does this go? I really want to tap into knowing if this thing has args. Do I just have to use like, I mean, I guess I could just use the toString method, and if it returned anything like with no args, with args, with any args, with, there's gotta be a way to, so verify call, how do they do it in verify call? Verify the current call, i.e. the given arguments match those of this. Okay, so validate the order, pass it through, get return as our, so this actual count plus plus, they do some internal stuff here. Verify, validate, okay, that's the validator. Validate order, twice, times, set. It's not, there's just not any match args public. Where does this get used? Expectation director, of course. Received calls director, okay, of course. So it doesn't match any args. I mean, I could add a method here, but I don't think I really need to. Does this have anything? This get exception message? I'm just curious. Var dump expectation. Whoops. Get message. Does this output anything? More. Null. Okay, so it doesn't know that it failed, so that's not helpful. What else do we have here? If not, I mean, I guess we can just move on from it. By default, between, at most, at least. Yeah, all of these public methods are unfortunately what you use to set up the mock, and that's this stuff. It's all of these methods. So what this returns an expectation interface or an expectation. So that's all of these methods are the things you do here. Now, unfortunately, when you call with and with args, it's setting the expected args, but we don't have access. There's no public access to this object. So where was that toString? So Mockery format args, this name, this expected args. So what can we get here? Format args, if arguments is null, then it just returns the method. Otherwise, it formats the individual arguments. Which is nice, but meh. I really don't want to mess with toString. All right, well, let's just, for now, I think we can just do that. Let's see what happens. Okay, so there it is, command. If we know we have an expected argument list and it's only one, we could just say, hey, you said you were going to call this, but you didn't call it. Now that's not as tight as I want it to be, but there's no method on the expected object that gives me access to know, hey, does this have an argument count? The assumption, though, is that kind of it does, because, again, this is a rather complex web of like fall through. I don't think you get into the expectation director unless you have arguments being called, right? Because otherwise you just wouldn't call that particular thing. At least that's what I believe. We'd have to test that, but that's what I believe. So I think we could really just go forward with this. And so what I would want to do is here, to just kind of prove this out, we would say something like, we could say something like, you know, Mockery expected a call to, you know, blank, right? And that's this, right? So it expected, or well, this is actually inverted. It expected a call to this, but you know, was not received. And then we could say something like, you know, dot, you know, okay, so Mockery expected a call to this thing, command whatever, but was not received. Again, I'm going to tweak this wording over time, but the point here is that it expected a call to this other thing. That's the expectation that it did expect. There's one other one that you set, and you know, but was not received. Instead, or we could say something like Mockery found a similar call to, you know, blank, and that's this Mockery one, right? And then I think we have to go so far as to always do this part. I think we're gonna find out. Okay, let's get rid of our dump. Okay, so we've made a new exception message here, right? And let's see if this is what it throws. So let's get rid of this more. Let's plug that out. Okay, Mockery expected a call to command blah 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 blah. Yeah, really dense. It's a deep call, but that's all correct, but was not received. Mockery found a similar call to command PHP CBS whatever all paths. Okay, so let's see if that's legit. In our test, we said you're supposed to get this, right? Okay, so Mockery expected a call to this command whatever whatever, but instead it received PHP whatever and then all those paths, right? So this is on the right track. So there you go. We've made this, again, slightly more human readable. Now I think there's opportunity to do some other stuff here where like there's more line breaks and so forth. I'm not gonna go so far as to do like term wind or anything right now. I just think with some simple line breaks, this could get cleaned up. But the point here is that we are now starting to cook with some fire. I think this is all on the right track. I'm kind of curious what this does, just for giggles. So let's just take that off for a second. I'm assuming that's the stack trace. No, it's not. What is that? I don't know what that new line, I don't know what format objects. Oh, recursion, interesting. Utility function to format objects to a printable array. I don't know what that does, to be honest. If objects is null, I guess objects is null, so it doesn't print anything out. Strange. Well, they have it on theirs, so I mean, I should probably keep it, but I'm just not entirely sure what this is intended to do. So anyway, we'll leave that alone for now. What I do want to check though is two things. One, I want to check this multiple calls, right? So I'm wondering what happens if I go back to my test and I say something like twice here. That once is not required. Okay, so we still get the we still get this call here. Mockery found a similar call. Okay, cool. So we still get that even though it's twice. That's okay. What I'd like to prove, let's just take this. Here's what I'd like to prove. I'm curious if in my code I duplicate this and I just hard code what it expects, but it doesn't get it the second time. It gets it one time, but it doesn't get it the second time. I'm curious if we get our error or some other place in the code. Okay, so we still have this. What would be even cooler here now, right, is if it said, you know, Mockery expected a call to whatever twice, it received one once, you know, but, you know, whatever, found a similar call to this. That would be cool. So again, there's levels to these error messages of like what it could actually say. And again, I think it's going to take a lot of work to get those where I want them to be. And again, here's the other thing, like does expectation, this goes into that expectation count, right? So do we have like a var dump? I think I'm going to have to open up some methods here. Expectation count. Is call count constrained? What is this? Count validators. Does it have a count here? I thought it does. Count validators, expected count. So where is this used? If expected count is 0, I think the easiest thing to do is going to be to open these up and just get the args, get the count. You know, get expected args, get expected count in a raw array. I think that's going to end up helping. Right now, there's no way for me to kind of get at this. So again, to really get these the way I wanted, you know, I'd have to have something like expected count, right, on that, and it doesn't exist. So let's just see if I can make it real quick. I don't think I can reach into the protected method without it blowing up. So let's just say something like plug or public function expected count returns whatever, and it basically return this expected count. I'll just leave the -1 for now. That doesn't really matter to me. Let's run this up. Okay, var dump int 1. That's strange. I would have expected the expected count to be 2 here. Does it make 2? Ooh, that's interesting. Does it make 2 of those? Let's find out. I want to do, let's go back to the beginning here real quick. I just want to get an idea of kind of what to work on next time. So I think we've successfully created what we've wanted. We're on the right path, but now it's kind of like, how much deeper do we have to go, right? So let's see here. We still just have one expectation. Actual count is 1. Okay, expected count should be 2 though. Did I just get the wrong thing? No, see, expected count's still 1. Why is expected count 1? Didn't I say twice? I did say twice. This times 2, limit. Limit is null. If not isn't limit. The pass number, okay, so this expected count is equal to 0. If limit expected count is 1, right? Did I not return the right thing? No, this expected count. That's very strange. I would say, why isn't it 2? Am I crazy? Expects command twice. Oh, does it like decrement the count? No, it can't do that. Does it? Expected count -1. Set it, return it. No, it doesn't. It's not like it decrements it. Right here, expected count limit equals 2. Why? What's going on here? This count validators is new class exact. That is strange. I have no idea why expected count is not 2 here. So that's a whole other rabbit hole to go down. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that one. Did I do this like backwards? Do you have to say like twice up here? Maybe. I don't know. Let's find out. Maybe that's not the right Mockery code. Is that my issue here? No. Expected count's still 2, even if I put that up there as twice. So, very strange. I'll have to look into that. It's getting set somewhere else, or that's a different. Maybe it just changes the count validator or something. But it's strange because it looks like it's supposed to set that. I'll debug that off stream. I think going back, went on a tangent there. I probably shouldn't have, but going back, we're on the right track here. I think we can handle these here, and I think we saw that these other methods that we want to tweak are already, the logic's already there. It's really just a matter of rewriting those to be more human readable. And I think because those exist in other places, we know that saying something like the method was unexpected, you shouldn't ever be saying that here, because the only way, again, we'll prove this, but the only way you could ever get here in this exception message is if you did set up the mock and it has argument counts, right? So I think that the most generic form here is that, hey, the argument list doesn't match, right? And we'd really only say that if you had multiple things, multiple arguments, multiple different calls that you were, expecting. So I think that's all just things to kind of look at. But yeah, the most nuanced error message is the one we're actually tackling today. And that's kind of why this has been a bit hacky, is because to really say that most beautiful error message that we want, hey, this mock was, you said you wanted this mock to be called, it wasn't, but we found another thing that was called, this method was called in a different way, and here's what that looks like, and allows you to kind of compare. That's really the most amazing error message that we're after, and of course it's the hardest to build. So I think we're close though. So there's light at the end of the tunnel. Stay tuned. We'll tackle this more, and probably one more stream on this. But I'm going to do some offline work to get this a little closer, and maybe the next one will really just be a review of the final thing and getting it wrapped up for the PR. So thanks for those for joining live and sticking with me through this dense exploration of Mockery. So see you next time.